sing.
Hello, viewers. Welcome to the Open Pulpit. Let me start by saying that this is a NAPAC initiative, not the Open Pulpit. And what we're here to discuss is to encourage people to be alive, to be responsible to all the things they're supposed to be doing when it comes to civics, particularly election time. I have my brother here. Please introduce yourself.
Imam Mansour Olajide from the Nigerian Muslim Association of Southern California.
What do you say to what we are discussing here about people's non-performance before we come to NAPAC people themselves?
Thank you so much, Dr. Pastor Papawara. I think as we've been talking all along, politics, when people hear politics, they think of Democrats, Republicans, conservatives, liberals, right wing, left wing. But in actual fact, politics is essentially a set of activities to manage the affairs of the people.
Mm.
And when we talk about that, it means democratically, everybody has to play a part in that. And speaking as a Muslim, and I think from a religious standpoint, Islam supports politics. It's an integral part of our religion. There's nothing anywhere in Islam that says you cannot or you should not participate in politics. In actual fact, it's the other way around. We have been encouraged to actively and proactively engage in the management of the affairs of the people.
Thank you so much. That's a very beautiful summation. Also, Christianity is concerned more with the welfare of the people all the time. So we share the same platform.
Great.
Now we have NAPAC representatives here who have the original idea about this forum. What's your expectation, Madam NAPAC? Please introduce yourself.
Absolutely. Good afternoon. I'm Jessica Bassey, and I've been involved with NAPAC over the past 5 years. I believe that NAPAC's mission is so important because it connects people to the issues that are concerning to their community. And we know there's a colloquialism, a squeaky wheel gets the grease. So if we are not making our voices heard, if we are not letting our political leaders and community leaders know what's important to us, then how can they advocate for us? How can they make sure that those things are at the forefront? So when I got involved 5 years ago, I was very pleased to learn more because I really didn't know that much about the political scene in California. I moved here 10 years ago from Ohio, and so NAPAC got me more connected into what was important and how to make it an impact.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. NAPAC, that's the name I give you for now. Please introduce yourself and add something to what my sister, Jessica, has said. Yes, please.
Yeah, so my name is Sylvester Annie Jr., and I was actually a candidate that NAPAC supported for Congress. And the reason why politics is so important is because if you don't do politics, politics will do you.
Mm.
It dictates the way our lives are set up, and this is a vehicle where we can all get involved and be more a part of that process so that we can live in a world that looks like the one that we feel we deserve.
I love that statement. If you don't do politics, politics will do you. Why don't we say politics will undo you? Well, this is good panel, and I have my sister here and my brother here also. We make sure that we are well represented in our various faiths, because at the end of the day, it's about people all the time.
Exactly.
My sister, what do you say to this discussion that we are having right now?
Thank you for having me. My name is Ronke Ogunleye. Idibo, what we're talking about here,
Dig it.
it's really deep. I mean, if we're talking about engagement of our people in politics, we have to go way back to the beginning, to how our ancestors organized society. Is it the same way we're organizing it now? Have we jettisoned our own ways for other ways, and which is making our people not to even follow along? Are the voices of our people being heard like they used to be heard in ancient times? I think I'll stop there right now, and I'll continue later.
And the voice of people being heard, like it used to be heard in ancient times. Well, we can bring it back. We can go back and learn from it. Yes. My brother, what says thou to all these? And state your faith and let us know.
Thank you very much for inviting me. And I would like to piggyback on that comment. You don't do politics, politics will do you. I have a statement that if you are not on the dinner table, you will
on
be
the menu.
out of the menu.
Mhm.
So that's just the way it is. And I also like to use the opportunity to piggyback on what our sister said right here, that there is a disconnect from the way it is during the days of the ancestors.
Mhm.
And there are a lot of things that is responsible for the lack of participation and contribution in the African community, both at home and abroad, when it comes to politics. And that can be said to be partly in whichever way, whether subtly or aggressively, be as a result of the foreign religion that Africans started embracing. We have a situation whereby there are some people up till today, whether Africans in the diaspora or in Africa, they believe that leadership has to do with ordination. I've heard it many times in the pulpit, in Christian realms, where they say, well, whoever it is that is there right now, that person is ordained by God. Now, think about that for a moment. When you do not choose, and God is the one responsible for the choice of who your leader is, that means you cannot criticize. Because criticism of a person that is a God's appointee is criticism of God. That's the way it sounds to a lot of people. I'll leave it at that for now, because that can be a little bit controversial. But we'll talk about that.
See, as Ojisha just started table. You just started and you already started table.
I was going to say, what are you guys reserving till later that you cannot mention in a few statements? Because we are here. If you look at this panel, you will discover that we represent different categories of people as leaders. Therefore, it's our responsibility to educate people. If there's a problem, even if the dead body has been buried for years and there is controversy, anybody can be assumed for necessary for that investigation. So what is it that you are talking about briefly?
Well, what I'm talking about is when you raise a people for over 400 years to look to certain groups of people as the be all and end all, and you pull them out away from their traditions.
Mm.
Back in the day, we had an egalitarian society, right?
Okay.
We did not have this society where women were relegated to the homes only. They were part of the politics, of the policy making of the people. They were always part of the palace, right? Advising. They were the mothers, the goddesses, if you will. But in came in foreign religions and said that women should stay home. In fact, if they have a question, they should ask their husbands. And that created an imbalance. In society, if you don't have both feminine and negative vibrations upholding the quality of that society, it's going to be lopsided. And that lopsidedness is what we're witnessing today.
Thank you. Iman, what says thou? I have a response, but I want you to go first.
Yes, I think I would really love if we focus more on modern politics, what it is, which is essentially managing the affairs of the people and their welfare, without introducing the angle of foreign religion to it. I think we'll get more out of this conversation. And the reason I say that is we're looking at it from the African perspectives and we say foreign religion. When in fact in China, they do have their own local religion. In India, they do have their own local religion. In Indonesia, they do have their own traditional religion. But in all of these places, we equally have Islam, Christianity, Judaism, and Buddhism. So this is a global phenomenon. We cannot single out Africa to say because we have influence of foreign religion. That's the reason why Africa has political apathy. I won't totally buy that. So, but if we focus on why are people not interested in politics, especially people, Africans and Nigerians. I think we'll get more out of this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. What I was going to add is very simple, that the problem we are trying to tackle here affects virtually all denominations, whether you are Christian or you're Muslim or you're not a Muslim, whatever. So what we are here is to look at the main aspects of people's welfare. Because listen, in many families these days, in Nigeria in particular, we are all present in various homes.
Exactly.
When I was a structural engineer, my chief draftsman was a Muslim, and we worked together for years. My driver, who drove me for 16 years, his name is Fatai. When he comes to church with me, he calls himself Pastor Faithful. Pastor Fatai was a Muslim. He was so dedicated at that time to me, and he became more or less my personal assistant, so to say. So the problem we are talking about is so germane, it's fundamental to everything we are talking about. So our focus is to see how do we solve this problem now. That's the major thing. Madam Jessica.
Yes, I think it's a great call out because we know for a fact that there are more engagement in politics by older generations and older people than younger people. And why is that? Well, I think it's because it's about education, right? People are not informed about the issues, and so they're not engaged or passionate about it. As you grow older in this country, you start to engage with trying to buy a home, right? You're understanding how mortgage rates and things like that are impacted by policy. You're impacted by Medicare and Medicaid and healthcare. All of these things, as you get older and more informed in this country, you understand the connections between this civic leader and my daily living go together. Now, that younger generation, they may not be making those connections. And I think that's why NAPAC is so important, because we're trying to inform the community. If you're apathetic now, 20 years, 40 years from now, those policies that you didn't care about because you were hanging out or whatever we do, younger people, now they're going to impact you. And this is why it's so important for us to speak up and have voice and inform the younger generations that are not as civically engaged, because, people perish for lack of knowledge. So that's what I think we should focus on. How are we getting the information to the people so that they want to be more involved?
I'm coming to you now because we are so proud that at least we have somebody who is interested, who is called, I believe, to go into politics. What is your primary motivation that got you into politics?
My primary motivation that got me into politics was seeing the suffering that was happening within the community, and a lot of that was inspired by the 2020 uprisings after George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, and just the way that we were beginning to reckon with the systemic history of slavery and policing in this country that has just infiltrated every sector of society. And I think that it was that hurt and pain that I saw that was going on within the community, but also it was the response of people to come together to say that, no, we should not stand for this and that we deserve better from this. And that's why I wanted to be a part of that fight to, be a vehicle for a message of what that could look like.
Thank you so much. I'm blessed. Right?
Yes, excellent contribution from Jessica and
Sylvester.
So what I just wanted to add to that real quick is the fact that as far as the Gen Z are concerned, we need more awareness, especially from the religious leaders and community leaders. We need to sensitize them as to the importance of their participation in politics when we talk about issues of civil rights, education, and all of those good things, how it really impacts them. If possible, in addition to our regular religious preachings on the pulpit, we can bring some of the ongoing political issues and policy to the church or the mosque and have a robust conversation about it. There's Proposition 501 talking about, changes in education. This is how it affects you as a person. This is how it affects your family. This is how it affects your community. Issues of civil rights, like you just raised all the, all these, iniquities black people are facing in America. Talk about it. You may be young and might not have experienced this, but as you grow older and you engage more in society, you might, see more and more of this, and it will affect your life. So you better be engaged right now. You better, participate in politics. You better make sure you're speaking up, you're engaging other, leaders so they can make the right decisions that works for you, works for your family, and works for your community.
Thank you so much. Doctor started talking about the people we are at the very beginning, how organized we were at the very beginning. Now, from that perspective, what advice do you have to encourage people to come out and defend their rights?
Thank you. I'm going to say a proverb in Yoruba. Amoku wani ewewo. Please help me interpret
that. When a cripple is seen and they say, oh, cripple, what's wrong with the balance of whatever you're carrying on your head? Then the cripple will say, well, why are you looking at the top? Why don't you really look down below and realize that I'm crippled?
Like the foundation. Why don't you look at the foundation?
So the foundation is more important.
Yeah, why don't you look at the foundation? Oh, okay, with that, what's your comment, ma'am?
So if we are going to actually have an open conversation, we need to identify the cause. But since we don't want to go back to the cause, here's what I'm going to say. When you preach in your mosques and in your churches, you need to let the people know that when it comes to politics, when it comes to how their lives are run, they need to be irreverent. You do not see any politician or any leader as directly the voice of God. He's just him, a man just like you. You need to interrogate. You need to question. And you don't stop that before voting during the campaign season. When he's in office, you have to continue to interrogate and be irreverent about it. Your reverence is only to your maker, not to some politician.
You've spoken well. But I can speak as a pastor, been pastoring for close to 30 years to the glory of God. And I've been in Los Angeles now for 25 years to 6 years. And I have relationship with virtually every human being that I come across. Ojisha will confirm that some of us, we undergo learning processes that make us better. I don't go on my pulpit to denigrate or to badmouth any human being. I'm not supposed to do that. But when it comes to politics, I, as a pastor, shepherd of various people, I'm supposed to be impartial. So the only thing I can do is encourage them, go out and vote, go out and register. I made an open admission just now. I said, I'm guilty. I don't read all those propositions. My main concern has already been the president. And that's it. But things have to get better. So we are looking at how do we make things better to the extent that our population, the knowledge we have in this community, we are so many and we are so effective, even at the workplace. How are we going to be able to impact our people more to get engaged in their basic responsibility? Would you share you have something? You are looking at me, sir.
Thank you, sir. Now, we need to let our people know that the politician is an employee. The politician is employed to do work, just like if I'm working as a janitor, I am accountable to make sure that the floor is clean. If I'm a security guard, I'm accountable to make sure that whatever perimeter I'm protecting, safeguarding is in order. When our people knows that, they will know to hold them accountable, as opposed to a situation whereby some people are saying, oh, somebody's a leader and the person is ordained to be there by God. God did not ordain anybody to be a leader. A person who's a leader is employed by the people. Now, one of the reasons why I think it's still important for us to be able to address that challenge, which I consider a brainwash in religion is that in a place like China, for example, where the gentleman who was an imam said that, well, they have foreign religions, the religion that is embraced in China did not do the same level of damage to the people of China if you compare it to the damages done to the people of Africa. Because I am yet to hear anybody who's a minister of any religion in China prophesying and say that this person is going to win the election, as done in Nigerian community. And I've heard that many times. You see people who are ministers who will come to the podium and say that they are speaking, they are prophesying, and XYZ person. There's an example, I won't mention the name of the minister, who said that Hillary Clinton is going to win the election. Everybody knows this particular minister that has thousands, maybe millions of followers. And he made a remark that is false. And Hillary Clinton did not win the election. So we need to be able to address that and hold our ministers accountable. And co-ministers need to address this to ministers and say, listen, keep those kind of languages out of politics.
Thank you.
What ought to be done is let the people who are in the congregation know that they have a civic responsibility to vote, partake in election, pay attention to policy that's going to affect them whether you like it or not. Because if you are not going to partake in the dinner, you are going to be on the table being shared. And that's my comment.
Chief Imam, I want
Yes.
to respond before I make my own comment.
Thank you so much, Ojishe and Mr. Guneye. So I'd really like to align with you here for a moment. So regarding preachers and clergy claiming that people are ordained, I don't think Islam supports that or gives anyone the right to proclaim that somebody is the chosen one that must occupy a certain political position. I think these are the doings of the individuals who proclaim so. That is really not in line with the teachings of Islam. I'm sure the same thing goes for Christianity. The pastor can talk about that. So, and I really want to let you also know that even though my professed faith is Islam, I'm still very Yoruba-centric. And I love the culture and the way of life of the Yoruba on a lot of things, especially when it comes to politics. Like she mentioned earlier on, if you look at the original Yoruba traditional society before the advent of the colonialists, we had a perfect, very well structured form of governance. We have the king at the top, like the president. We have if we take Oyo as an example, we have the Oyomisi as the Senate. We have the Ogoni fraternity as the House of Rep and all that. And we also have the military, we have the military headed by the Baloguns and the Ariana Kakamfo. So the Yoruba political system was well established, and we cannot wave that away. So, but at the same time, the corruption we're seeing now cuts across all religion. It's not a Christian thing or a Muslim thing or a traditional religionist thing. So we just have to address the issue as is. For us as Muslims, yes, you're right. I've heard some Muslim cleric on national television claiming that this individual will be the person that will win the election, and he was dead wrong. That individual went nowhere. So those kind of statements we need to avoid, and we need to let our political leaders know that they should avoid such statements. And in closing, you mentioned something about the clergy having the audacity to stand on the pulpit and say such things. It can only happen in Nigeria or maybe some other country. Like Dr. Ademola Okusonya mentioned earlier on at the beginning, in America, if you're a church, a mosque, or a religious organization, definitely you're a 501c organization, and you are bound by the laws of the land, which dictates that you cannot be partisan. So if you do that in America as a pastor, as an imam, you are going against the law that establishes your organization. So I don't know if such thing, is available in Nigeria. I don't know if we have laws that says the same thing, that pastors cannot be partisans, imams cannot be partisans. And if the law is actually in existence, obviously they are not being followed or obeyed.
We can say that about the evangelicals.
Thank you
The
so much.
evangelicals,
Before
MAGA
you
movement.
begin to point finger at a particular group, I'm not here to defend evangelical or defend Christianity. Because even among the Christian people, there are people I don't believe that they have the same character. I don't believe they have the values to be really described as Christians should be. If you go on my own channel, The Open Pulpit, you will have some of my comments there. The problem we always have is to generalize, to say that because this pastor has said this, that's the view of Christians. Or to say because this man has said it, that's the position of people in Islamic religion. These are divisive things which we want to avoid. And that is the truth. I don't care whether you're a Muslim or a Christian or whatever you call yourself. If there is no godliness in you, you are as good as an animal, regardless of your level of ordination. That is the truth. And that's one of the problems that is killing us in Nigeria. I want us to focus more on the solution than on the issues of problems. Because if we begin to discuss problems and issues of what happened in the past and everything, we'll never get the solution. We'll be driven to, inadvertently, to various corners of defending who we are supposed to be, what our faith is supposed to be. Our faith primarily is supposed to be for the welfare of the people, fundamentally. That's the mind of God. Whether you're Onishedale or you're a Christian or you're a Muslim, that is the mind of, and I know that all of us, being children of God, we have God's investment in us. If you allow that value to come to the surface and people get less selfish, but amassing wealth that they do not know what to do about it, which is, to me, I'm sorry to use language, is demonic. And that is the truth. So this forum, we are concerned. We are concerned about our apathy in America. We are concerned about our apathy in, the only time I voted in Nigeria in my life was when, what's his name now? MKO.
Yeah.
But there was a high level of motivation at that time. So we are looking for that kind of high level of motivation for people here in America and also in Nigeria. That's my perspective. Yes, ma'am.
I'm glad that you mentioned that the purpose of religion is the welfare of the people.
Yes.
And this is where I'm going to step in with where does politics end and leadership begins. Because if the purpose of religion is the welfare of the people, the moment a leader is voted in, the shepherds of both religion will hold the leader's feet to the fire.
Of course.
Because whatever that leader does affects the flock. So if you're watching the leader doing whatever they like and your people are suffering, then you are not a good shepherd of your congregation. What we've seen across the world is religious leaders hiding behind, oh, I don't want to get involved in politics. Meanwhile, they're looking at the politicians messing up the lives of their congregation. Why can't you call a politician to order? Why?
Okay.
The recent happenings in Nigeria, for instance, I'm not going to mention names, but if all the shepherds come together with their congregation and say enough is enough, and they all protest, I don't care if you're 90, you can be in an open van, right? And you've been driven along with your congregation. So don't tell me that somebody is too old to be part of the protest. You can be in an open van, protest with the people, so that the leaders of the country will know that, we've gone too far. Because if both religions, major religions in Nigeria, Christianity and Islam, if all the leaders come together to protest, that problem would have been solved overnight. Here in America, we see what is happening to the people. We see how the people are getting divided because of politics. If the religious leaders of both religions in America too but I'll say one is more powerful than the other. But if all those religious leaders actually care about their flock, we will not have the thwarting of policies that have been long established since 1776. The civil rights that have been fought for and won in the 1950s will not have anyone thwarting them today. But because everybody thinks it's politics, I don't want to get involved. So where does politics end and leadership begin? And who is supposed to hold the leaders' feet to the fire?
Okay, thank you so much. Chief Man, the first day I met you was you came to conduct a service of a young man that was murdered, so to say, and I happened to be close to the parents of that young man. When I heard about that case, it saddened my heart completely, even though the family, they are Islamic scholars, so to say, and I'm a Christian. What did I do? I motivated the community in Los Angeles to follow us to court, to go and get justice. Throughout the period that proceeding was going on, we were many, we went there. And even when the judge saw the amount of people that came, because we knew that anything could happen, could play out, they had to give judgment. They are so scared. They brought so many people to come and guide us. Why did I bring this one up? Look, the people who take advantage of ordinary people from Christian point of view, they are not Christians, even though they wear garments of Christianity. I'm telling you, in my last broadcast, I mentioned 3 names. I've now mentioned the names because I already put that name out. I said, if Adeboye and Papa, what's his name now? Papa Lobo, what's his name? Oyedepo and Papa Kumuyi. I said, if only those 3 people, with the influence they have in the community, if they come together to talk truth to leadership, they will listen to them. If the Sultan of Sokoto and other powerful people in Islamic region, if they get together to say, this is where we are going, if the people are not in any of this group that are still very influential in the community, if they get up, like our KBHs, our KBHs are not supposed to be, they're not supposed to be political. If they all get up to say, but because these people, their stomach ministry is their priority. And that's it. I mean, why is somebody having 2 jets? Why are they having Rolls Royces? And those are people we are calling Christians. They are not Christians, so. And that is the truth. They are not. But they are not following the fundamental principle that prioritizes the welfare of the people. That is, you are saying something. I said,
I was going to mention too, I think this gets back to Dr. O's original point of getting to the root cause of this. Not only are people not informed about politics and the impact to their life, but they are apathetic because they don't feel like when they are getting involved, that it's going to make an impact because of the corruption, because of the misuse of funds, right? And so we, or NAPAC, as an organization, is trying to mobilize people to get informed, but now you have to be loud. You have to shake the table to make sure things are done right and in order, because all of the history, let's say the United States, right? We have these laws, people are created equal in the midst of slavery, right? So that dichotomy, that hypocrisy makes people apathetic. They don't feel like it's going to make a difference to raise their voice. But we know that behind the scenes, there are a lot of discussions happening. There are a lot of dinners happening. There are a lot of transactions happening because people are yelling, people are advocating for themselves. And so we have to let our people know, okay, you need to be informed, but you need to get out there and make an impact, because that's how we uncover the corruption. That's how we demand transparency.
And I'll say, just to speak to the table that needs to be shaken, I think that we have to interrogate the capitalistic system that America's been operating under since its inception. Because when you look at society and everything costs so much, and you get paid so little, which means that you have to work even more, which means that you have less personal time for yourself or for your family members. And then now, if I barely even have time to look in the mirror at myself, when do I have time to engage in politics? I don't. And a system is as a system does. That's the result of making a society not have any time where they can think. They don't want thinkers; they want workers.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think
Sir.
I agree with everything that has been said by all of you here. So, for the good voices among the clergy that are still out there, I think the job on our hand is to really, really energize the grassroots constituency, to let them realize that they do have power. They do, and their power is their vote. Their power is their participation. For example, in the last presidential election in Nigeria, the total number of votes was like around 60 million or something, in a population of about 200, over 200 million. Just about 60 million or a little over 60 million.
And that 60 million, we're not even sure whether they're authentic.
Exactly. Imagine we have like 150 million people registering and voting and going in one direction. Even with all the corruption and all the shenanigans, that will still be a voice to reckon with. So both in America and in Nigeria, I think the real job on our hand is to sensitize our community from the grassroots level to let them realize their civic responsibility and to actually go out there and participate.
And one other thing, I don't want you to be disillusioned about the participation or non-participation of some religious leaders at this time. I don't want to be disillusioned about that, whether we like it or not. If we come to become, when things get to the rock bottom, I believe God will not let us get to that point where we begin to eat each other. Because I did make a prophecy that if you are not careful, if you don't change, the kind of bloodbath that will happen in Nigeria to straighten us will be worse than what we saw in Rwanda. But the good thing is that we are here. This panel is part of the solution. If we are authentic, if we are serious, everybody has a voice. Speak to one person. Look, I like the Nigerian community. We are interrelated. We are connected one way or the other. If we all begin to speak up, I'm sure that even the deaf will hear. Exactly. That's why someone like me started the open pulpit. So the things I cannot say on the pulpit, I say it in organizations like this. Everybody must speak up, but everybody is scared. What religion has done, it has weaponized fear to subdue people. But if you know you are really, as a child of God, regardless of whatever religion you are pursuing, if you know the value and quality of godliness is in all of us, except those who, for sake of stomach ministry, will sacrifice integrity on the altar of
quick
insecurity.
Observation. We all know the current Pope in Rome, and we have seen how he has spoken, out about, bad governance and all that. And that is actually a very good example from a religious leader. And there are so many other leaders doing that. So I think the Pope's example is worthy of commendation, and we should ask all other leaders who are not doing that as of yet to emulate it.
Yeah, also Desmond Tutu of South Africa.
Yes, I think it's late now.
It's late now.
Yes.
When the problem was at the highest level, I mean, he came out. He didn't mind. He wasn't afraid of anything. But
the likes of Martin Luther King
that person.
spoke out.
I mean,
and if he spoke out, we wouldn't have the civil rights era and everything that came as a domino effect after that. And also, every religious leader and also people who are in the congregation of religion should know that the only thing that actually makes a prophet is the willingness and the ability to be outspoken against injustice.
Exactly.
Every single one of the prophets in antiquity, the only reason why they became prophet is because they spoke out against injustice.
Thank you so much. So viewers, you have heard our ideas and our opinions. Now we want to conclude. Spoken out our hearts and what we are concerned more or less is people participating, and then our leaders being concerned about the welfare of the people. What solution do you have to provide, sir?
Solution is simple. Know your senator, your congressman, congresswoman. Be part of the decision making, attend town hall meetings, invite these individuals to your own circle so that way you can understand their policy. Pay attention to the policy and then vote accordingly. I am Ojishe. Thank you.
Thank you. Jessica.
Yes. Well, I may be a little biased, but I'm here from NAPAC. So I would say find an organization that can help you to get your arms around all the information. It can be overwhelming, right? To be informed, to stay abreast of all the different policies, all of the different voter acts and rights. So get involved with NAPAC or a community organization. I think it's really important to just stay connected to your local government, get out in your community and see where impact needs to be held and make your voice heard.
Thank you so much, Jessica. My brother, what's your solution?
So my name is Sylvester Andy Jr. I'm here with NAPAC, and the solution to me is that if you want people to show up for elections, you need to show up for people in between elections. Because in between elections, when you're able to build those relationships and really organize in a way where you can show people like the relationships that we build and that we put out into the world can show what it looks like when we're really a community. That way, when the election actually does come, we already have a trust between us that, you know what, I'm going to be guided and steered in the right way because we're already aligned in the ways that we've been showing up together.
Thank you so much. Solution, ma'am.
Thank you. The people are disillusioned. They need leadership. They need people that will be at the head of the line and lead them. And I'm calling on none other than our religious institutions, our religious leaders. Lead. Amen. Don't get involved in politics, but lead. Know when politics ends and leadership begins. Do not be afraid. Be courageous and hold the leaders' feet to the fire. Once the people start seeing results, your congregations will grow. Amen. And the society will get better. Thank you. Thank you.
Iman, we are in the same boat, so you go first, please.
All right, thank you so much. Very wonderful conversation, and I think I perfectly align with all the submissions from other panelists here. So from my end, I think as religious leaders, we have to engage elected officials as well as candidates vying for offices. We need to bring them to our communities and get them engaged on their policies and what they plan to do for us. And also, it will be a wonderful idea if we can utilize the religious centers as a place for voters registration. I think in our mosque, we partnered with the County of Los Angeles in the past, and our mosque was actually used as a voters registration center. The same thing, we can also use churches and mosque as voting center during election. If we make the move to work and partner with the county, that can really happen, and that will also bring about participation, awareness, and engagement of our people. Thank you. Once again, my name is Imam Mansour Kehinde Olajide from the Islamic Center of Los Angeles. Thank you.
Thank you so much, my brother. Everybody has said what I would love to say, but we'll be focusing only on leadership. How about followership? Because if we do not acknowledge, if we refuse to acknowledge and recognize those people who flaunt their wealth, who throw money all up and down and everything, we have to speak against that to be able to educate the community and then encourage members of our congregation who feel called to play politics to do it.
Exactly.
We need to encourage them to do it. But the caveat, if you are going to join them to steal money, the just leader will come against you powerfully. At this point, I think I've come to an end. Thank you so much. My name is Niran Fafura. My people call me Papa Igu, to the glory of God. We've had a wonderful discussion this afternoon, but action has to follow. And we can always collaborate and come together. I mean, if you announce in the mosque that members of Joseph Embassy or Redeemer are coming to register there, people will understand. Just like we have come today into the church, and this could have taken place anywhere. So, viewers, thank you so much for your attention. If you have comments, let us know. But like I said at the beginning, this is NAPAC Initiatives. God bless you. Amen.
Emphasizing the truth in an eclipsing world.